Facts that will blow your mind. No two tigers have the same stripes. Sharks can grow thousands of teeth. Your left lung is smaller than your right lung. The Killer's Mr. Brightside lyrics repeat because of procrastination. Early pacemakers had wall plugs. Arizona's meteor crater is actually named after a post office. More than 95% of passengers involved in plane crashes survived. US paper money contains hundreds of species of microorganisms. New Hampshire drinks the most alcohol of any state. Green Bay, Washington, is known as the toilet paper capital of the world. Follow and comment below which fact blew your mind.
How rare is your body? Only 5% of people in the world can lick their elbow. Red hair is the rarest hair color in the world and only about 2% of people have it. Next is the double row of eyelashes. Only about 1% of people have this and it actually causes them to cry more. Only 5% of people have this extra hole near their ear and it's actually proof that humans once had gills. And if you have two different colored eyes, you are super rare because only 0.1% of people have this.
What you are looking at is every single criminal's worst nightmare. So this guy is Pedro Rodriguez, and he's a serial, you know what. Now, this guy's actually often referred to as the real-life Dexter Morgan, and you're about to see why. So this guy is a serial killer, but he only kills criminals. He was charged with over 75 counts of murder in a time span that wasn't even that long. And the death count is actually expected to be far, far higher than that. So the story goes back when he was 14, he first got his taste. Basically, his father was the breadwinner for the family. He lost his job and the son, he basically felt guilty for this and wanted to do something. So the guy that sacked his father was his first kill. But when he did this, there was a security guard standing there that said, "Whoa, what's going on here? You've just done this right in front of me." So Pedro said, "Right mate, you're going back to the gulag as well." So he sent that guy back to the lobby and killed 2 people right there and then. He then moved to one of the biggest cities, Sao Paulo, where everything really accelerated. He was taking out gang members, cartel bosses, everything you can ever imagine. Taking out, of course, over 70 people in the space of a few years, which inevitably did end him up in jail eventually. This photo right here is him after 42 years of prison, just before he passed away back in 2023.
How old were you when you realized? Part 3. Alright, so the tab on a soda can is actually a straw holder. Yo, how come nobody told me this? What? Apparently owls' legs actually look like this. Yo, I would literally shit my pants if this thing came running at me. So if you type hee hee with the brackets around it in the comments, it creates a weird ass TikTok emoji. Go ahead, try it out. Wait. The iPhone clock app is actually a working clock. Yo, how come I never saw this? What the fuck? Subway Surfers was a game that a dad created in memory of his son that died while skating in the train tracks. That literally just ruined my childhood. Winnie the Pooh is actually a girl? What?
These maps are going to change the way you see the entire world. This map shows the global cancer rates in people under 50. And Australia, New Zealand, I don't know what's going on, but you have way more than the entire world. USA, France, kind of all these main countries are right there with them. This map shows the most popular flight destination for each US state. California's is Nevada, Alaska goes to Washington, Florida goes to Georgia, and Georgia goes to Florida. The entire South, for whatever reason, goes to Georgia, I guess for Atlanta. Illinois goes to California. Every state bordering Texas goes to Texas, and Texas goes to California. I mean, this map kind of makes sense. It's pretty much all the states go to wherever there's stuff happening near them. Cool. This map shows the number of dentists per 10,000 people in Europe. Sweden has by far the most with 17, and Montenegro has only 0.59. There's not even one dentist per 10,000 people. That just blew my mind. Wow.
I was today years old when I found out that someone tells you to break a leg before an audition because they hope you end up in a cast. A TV show pilot is called a pilot because it's the first time it's on air. This little piggy went to the market doesn't mean the pig went grocery shopping. It means the pig literally went to the market. Pinterest is called Pinterest because you pin your interest. When someone tells you to hold your horses, they're telling you to be stable. Like a stable holds horses. Sand is called sand because it's in between the sea and land. Sand. A division symbol is just a fraction with dots replacing the numerator and denominator. Did I just not know this?
Iconic horror day 8. It originally aired as a 2-part miniseries in 1990. It was based off the novel by Stephen King and directed by Tommy Lee Wallace. It takes place in 1960 and 7 preteen outcasts fight against an evil demon who poses as a child-killing clown. 30 years later, they reunite when it returns to their hometown. Tim Curry's portrayal of Pennywise is considered to be one of the scariest clown characters in film and TV history. Most of us also know of the remake that was made in 2017, and Chapter 2, which featured Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. Bill seemed to live up to Tim Curry's legacy and received a lot of praise. Which portrayal did you find creepier?
Moments of True Horror, Part 1. A woman vacationing in India was recording a TikTok when she was suddenly approached by a potential kidnapper. Luckily, he was scared away as soon as he saw her phone, which may have saved her life. This is why you should always start recording from your phone or pretend to call someone if you ever see a suspicious stranger approaching you. This is why you should always test the waters before paddleboarding in South America. Or, you know, just don't go to South America, ever. You might have to watch it twice, but this one's pretty self-explanatory once you see it.
How far would you really go just to be with your boyfriend or girlfriend? In 2009, 47-year-old Joanne Witt reported to police that her 14-year-old daughter, Tyler, was in a relationship with a 19-year-old named Stephen Culver. But before anything could be done, Joanne's body was found laying on her bed in her home with 20 stab wounds. Investigators later learned that Stephen had been living in Joanne's house after Tyler asked her mother if he could rent a room in their house, and she convinced her mom that they were just friends. But not long after, when Joanne realized that there was more going on between her underage daughter and Stephen, she reported it to police, hoping to keep Stephen away from her daughter. Unfortunately, things took a turn, and on June 11th, 2009, Joanne was found deceased in her home after she kicked Stephen out. Police could not find both teens, so they had a feeling that they had something to do with Joanne's murder. But a few days later, they were eventually found 115 miles away behind a shopping mall. Investigators believe that Tyler let Stephen in the house in the middle of the night and watched as he murdered her mother. Tyler was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole in 15 years, so that means that next year she can possibly get out. And Stephen was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole.
This is the Walt Disney death conspiracy. There's a long-standing conspiracy theory that Walt Disney, knowing he was dying of cancer, froze himself in the hopes to be reanimated in the future when there's a cure. He was only 65 when he was losing his battle. There's also a rumor that his frozen body is buried somewhere in one of the Disney theme parks. The theory also progressed to say that it was only his head that was frozen, but I don't really know how that would work. His daughter has denied these allegations, but some theorists still believe it's true, which led to another theory. This theory says that the movie Frozen was created to distract from the truth. Think about it. Now if someone Googles Disney Frozen, what comes up? Not conspiracy theories about Walt Disney. What do you guys think?
There is a fish that is so endangered it only lives in one hole in the middle of the desert outside of Death Valley. This fish's entire environment can be seen in this one picture, and it has been there for thousands of years, just stuck in the middle of the desert with no way out. And even crazier, its survival depends on a single rock shelf within that hole, which is the only place that it can breathe. Some scientists estimate this might be the most inbred species on the entire planet. This is the devil hole's pupfish, and thousands of years of isolation and mutation and inbreeding has made it a little weirdo. The water they live in is 91 degrees Fahrenheit and very low oxygen, so they can do a form of respiration where they produce alcohol, similar to yeast when you brew beer or wine. So theoretically, if you had enough of these fish, you could make booze. There are only 200 of these fish left, which doesn't sound like much, but that's actually a 25-year high. They're actually doing very well right now. Their numbers have been way lower before. In 2016, 3 drunk guys stumbled into the hole and vomited and killed a bunch of these fish, so like, you know, it could be worse than it is right now. I really hope that we can conserve these guys because they are beautiful, and honestly, after toughing it out for thousands of years in the middle of the desert, I kind of feel like they deserve it, you know?
Normal looking photos that have a disturbing backstory, part 13. A group of students in India went swimming and took selfies in the water before they left. They later noticed that one of the boys was missing and discovered the top of his head in the background of one of their photos. They contacted the police, who found his dead body floating in the pond. This photo shows a starving little girl trying to reach a feeding center when a vulture landed nearby her, waiting for her to die. The photographer, Kevin, was told not to touch any of the children out of fear of getting a disease. In the Victorian era, families used to dress up their dead relatives and take pictures with them. You can see that the image of the mom and the dad is blurry because they had to wait for the camera shutter to cycle, but the daughter's photo is perfectly clear. The man in this photo is Nasala. He hadn't met his rubber quota for the day, so his bosses cut off his daughter's wife and hand, and then they killed his daughter and wife and then cannibalized them. This photo shows Nasala being forced to stare at his 5-year-old daughter's chopped off hand and foot.
This man sold one of his kidneys for a new iPhone. In 2011, 17-year-old Wang Shenkun from China made a decision that would destroy his life in every way possible. Obsessed with owning the latest products, an iPhone 14 and iPad 2, Wang turned to the black market after finding an online ad offering cash for kidneys. He agreed to sell one of his kidneys for about 22,000 won, roughly 3,500 USD. The illegal operation took place in unsanitary conditions with unqualified doctors performing the surgery. Something nobody should ever do. At first, Wang was thrilled, showing off his new gadgets to friends. However, that was very, very short-lived. Soon after, his health began to rapidly decline. The infection from the crude surgery spread, and his remaining kidney eventually failed. He is now permanently disabled, and Wang requires lifelong dialysis to survive. His dream of luxury ended in tragedy, a haunting reminder of how far some will go for material possessions. A reminder that no material object is worth more than your health.
This is creepy as hell. Now someone just DM'd me to check this video out, which essentially shows a man named Stephen McDaniel being interviewed by news reporters about the murder of his neighbor and fellow law school graduate Laura Giddings. But it was only later revealed that he was the one who killed her, and this video captured the moment that he was told her body had been discovered. Have a listen.
When everyone got here, I mean, we just don't know where she is.
What about in the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of, I think that's where they have recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there.
Body?
Had you seen anything there? Had you seen anything there? I mean, we don't know if this is the same person. You know what I mean? Like, they took out a body there earlier. We don't know if it's the same person or not. So that's why we're trying to ask people if they know who lived there. Are you okay, sir?
I think I need to sit down.
Okay.
Creepy as shit. Now, it also says that police eventually found that he snuck into Lauren's apartment and murdered her, dismembering her body and disposing of her in a bin. They also found a pair of her panties in his apartment and several blog posts he had written describing torture and violence towards women.
This is Crystal Kaiser, and she was just sentenced to 11 years in prison for the murder of a man who reportedly molested and trafficked her as a teen. Crystal Kaiser met 34-year-old Randall Volar when she was 16 years old in 2018. They reportedly met online, and after they met, he began molesting her and trafficking her. For over a year, Volar filmed the essay of Crystal, who was a minor at the time. Crystal says that Volar continued to essay her and give her cash and gifts. And then he went on to make money by selling her to other men for sex. In February 2018, Volar was arrested on charges of SA, but he was released the same day. Crystal reportedly learned around that same time that Volar was essaying and trafficking several girls, most of whom appeared to be minors. About 4 months after that arrest, Crystal traveled from Milwaukee to Volar's home in Kenosha, Wisconsin. When arriving at his home, Crystal ended up shooting him twice in the head, then set fire to his house and left with his car. Crystal claims that she shot Volar in self-defense after he attempted to touch her. Prosecutors say the murder was premeditated and part of a scheme to steal his car. Actually, Crystal Kaiser was arrested and charged with first-degree intentional homicide, arson, car theft, and being a felon in possession of a firearm. In June 2018, her bail was set at $1 million, but by February 2020, it was decreased to $400,000. Several groups supporting Crystal came together to post her bail, and over 1.5 million people signed a petition to have her charges dropped. But the charges remained, and she would be going to trial. Crystal's defense argues that she was actually legally permitted to kill Randall Volar because he was sexually her. According to the Associated Press, in 2022, Wisconsin's Supreme Court ruled that a 2008 state law that pardons trafficking victims of criminal liability against their trafficking includes first-degree homicide. However, the court said they needed evidence proving that the fatal shooting of Volar was directly correlated to Crystal being trafficked. So because of that, she was not exempt with this law, and she was being charged with murder. Crystal ended up taking a plea deal instead of risking life in prison if she went to trial and was convicted. She pleaded guilty to second-degree reckless homicide in May. And then last week, 24-year-old Crystal was sentenced to 11 years in prison with 5 years of extended supervision after her release. So she will be spending the next 11 years in prison. But many people believe she should never have been charged in the first place.
Scariest urban legends from every US state, part 1. If you are easily scared, please keep on scrolling right now, because this will genuinely terrify you. You will not be sleeping for a long time. In Huntsville, Alabama, there is a playground known as the Dead Children's Playground. Doesn't sound like a fun place to hang out, does it? Just a faint noise of laughter and swings creaking as the wind blows through the park. There is a graveyard nearby which has many children in, so this is where they come to play. This is the real Annabelle doll from The Conjuring. Now, she probably doesn't look as scary in real life as she does in the film, but trust me, she is. Annabelle the doll is in Monroe, Connecticut. Supposedly she is inhabited with the spirit of a dead girl, but be careful, do not look into her eyes. In Hawaii, this is known as the Night March. And you're in bed and you hear the sounds of marching, drum beats, and people storming past your house, even though they're not actually there. The spirits of ancient warriors marching on the beaches of Hawaii can be heard here at night time. Make sure you hit that follow button and comment down below your state, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Let's talk about this picture. Both shocking and disturbing. This was captured on the Ring camera of Susan Rube's home that was up for sale in 2019. It shows the man who police believe is responsible for countless animals in this county who have been found slain. And if you hadn't heard about this story, it originated in a town that was right outside of Huckabee, Louisiana, where something very disturbing was going on. A number of people's pets were being taken from yards, taken from sidewalks, even through people's doggy doors in their homes, and then they were later found scattered across the town in pieces. The police knew that this wasn't an animal, right? They knew this was deliberate, they just had no idea who would do this until Susan turned in her footage. It was this man. This was recorded on the same night that her dog was taken through the doggy door, and this is the final image we have of this guy's face. He has never been caught, but even stranger than that, nobody seemed to ever identify who this guy was or why he did what he did.
The McKamey Manor Conspiracy, or the real-life Squid Game. McKamey Manor is said to be the most extreme haunted house in the world, but is actually a physical and psychological torture chamber where you sign away your body for a chance at a grand prize. And the actors in this house don't just jump out and scare you, they waterboard you, rip out your teeth, and even break your bones. To win the money, you simply have to survive for 8 hours, but this is no easy task considering the longest someone has ever survived is for 6 hours, and this was done by a US Marine. The owner of the house, Russ McKamey, is rumored to live stream the event to Thailand and Las Vegas. Supposedly, he charges people to view the stream and allows people to gamble on the participants. Some have even said that they were forced to quit early and that the $20,000 prize doesn't even exist. So is this just some extreme haunted house, or is this something much deeper?
Don't let his appearance fool you. This is one of the most dangerous men in the UK. This is Charles Bronson. He also goes by the name Charles Salvador. And yes, he does look like Dr. Eggman from Sonic. His first arrest was in 1974. He's been in prison for about 48 years. He's had times where he's been in and out, but those have been very brief because this man loves crime. He has a ton of violations with firearms. He has a ton of thefts. And most of all, he loves taking hostages. He's taken 11 hostages total over his criminal career. His last hostage was a teacher that he held for 44 hours straight. Ever since that incident too, he's tried to get the parole board to release him, but they've always said no. The most recent no was last year in March of 2023. His crimes did not stop in prison though. He was known as a dangerous and very volatile prisoner. He loved fighting everybody in the prison. At this current day and age, he's 70 years old and he still likes to rumble, but he claims he is a changed man and he will blend in with society now. He actually makes a lot of art in prison now, so maybe that's true, maybe that's not. But with a track record like his, I would be very cautious. What do you guys think about Dr. Eggman? Let me know in the comments.
My last video was all of the lore about timeout dolls, and now I want to tell you how they are allegedly connected to the Long Island serial killer, otherwise known as Lisk, the Go-Go Beach killer, or allegedly Rex Heuermann. So these are timeout dolls, the toddler-sized, faceless dolls, often posed in this position and today used for decoration. The Long Island serial killer has been one of the largest unsolved cases. Between 1996 and 2011, the remains of multiple victims were discovered near Go-Go Beach, New York, and other locations on Long Island. While some victims remain unidentified and their connections are unknown, for years there has been speculation that they were all killed by a man who became known as the Long Island serial killer, or Lisk. After the case was cold for decades, in July 2023, architect Rex Heuermann was arrested and charged in connection with multiple of these murders. He has officially been charged with 7 murders, and he remains the primary suspect in the Go-Go Beach killings, despite him denying any involvement. But in 2023, after Heuermann's arrest, some true crime forums started talking about the presence of timeout dolls or other similar dolls at memorial sites for some of the Go-Go Beach victims. Now, no credible reports have confirmed this claim, but some have speculated that they may have been intentionally placed there in a prank to cause mischief. But this also brought about further questions with a connection with Heuermann, because after his arrest, a search of his home was conducted, and from photos taken by the media while the search was taking place, a large doll in a casing was seen being removed from his home as evidence. So some have speculated that that doll being found at his home and the dolls being placed at the memorial sites may further prove his connection to these murders. But again, none of this is confirmed, and timeout dolls will continue to forever terrify me.
If you haven't seen this photo on the internet as of late, this is just moments before 12-year-old Emma Brown took her gun and used it on her father and then herself. Last September, Emma and another 12-year-old friend devised a plan to murder Emma's family and her pets and then run away to Georgia together. Shortly after this photo, she then proceeds to shoot her father in the stomach and then run toward her driveway to take her family car to meet with her friend about 230 miles away. It's believed in this moment that Emma might have panicked and then shot herself in the process. The thing that's raised a concern is, as of right now, Emma's friend, who hasn't been publicly identified, is believed to have planned the entire ordeal. One of the biggest discussions as of late is that Emma's family had no idea how her and her friend had actually met, but she has been arrested and charged with a conspiracy to commit murder. The father did end up surviving the incident, but now conversations are being struck throughout the entire internet about whether or not parents know who their children's friends are. The police have also raised concerns and reports blaming social media for this occurrence. So the question now is, was this a preventable incident?
If you've ever thought your house is haunted, you might want to check your crawl spaces, because I just heard the scariest story. So many years ago, this one family in Germany felt like they were experiencing a haunting in their house. Every night at their farm, it sounded like there was someone upstairs on the 3rd floor walking around, but when they would go up there would be no one. Also, there's a maid working for the family, and every night at midnight for about a week, her door pops open and there's no one on the other side, just darkness. She ended up quitting the job as a result of this, and she cited the house being haunted as the reason why she left. But a few weeks after she quits, that maid gets a letter in the mail. And in the letter, it says that the entire family, mom, dad, their daughter, 2 grandchildren, and their new housekeeper were all murdered in the middle of the night. Not only that, but it looked like someone had lured them out into the barn one by one, killed them with a pickaxe, and then stacked the bodies on top of each other. And one of the bodies had actually ripped out tufts of hair, meaning that she didn't die right away. She was alive for potentially hours after the attack. The following investigation is absolutely horrifying because of all the evidence that they found that someone may have actually been living in the house before the attacks took place, and then for a while after the attacks took place as well. I cover the whole thing in this episode of the Heart Size Pounding podcast, and buckle up because it is a ride.